I knew when I started the podcast, I wanted to interview Stephanie Newton. You can hear joy and excitement in her voice. She goes all in at whatever she does. She's a mom of four. She was a collegiate volleyball player, now is a Blue Diamond leader in Doterra. She recently moved from Idaho to Arizona when her mom had a stroke to help take care of her mom. At that point, she took up pickleball and is now on her way to being a pro pickleball player. She's truly amazing. She loves to empower women in both business and wellness, and you're going to learn so much from her today. I've got a question for you. Who's the person you're being? Are you satisfied? It's okay. This is a judge-free zone, and it's exactly why I started the show. Welcome to Be the Person, a podcast for the brave and the curious who are ready to explore who they are fully created to be. I'm your host, Annie Randall, the adventurous one leading this investigative journey of transformation. By delving into topics and asking unexpected questions, we will discover the keys for unlocking our true potential and being our best selves today. You may be surprised by what you find when you let go of fear in order to discover the answers of becoming the person you were made to be. Welcome to Be the Person podcast. Thanks for joining today. I'm really excited because I have my friend Stephanie Newton here. She is a wellness coach with Doterra, and she's a very holistic approach to health. You'll see that she does not do anything halfway. She recently got into pickleball. She's an instructor looking to go pro, and she has just such a fun outlook on life and has so much to share today. Welcome, Stephanie, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I know I gave a little info about you, but just tell us a snapshot of you today. What does that look like?
Well, if you can keep up with me, I think that's the biggest thing. I am always going 100 miles an hour. I don't really function at a slower speed. So so today I have four active kids. Three of them are teenagers, and they are involved in so many different things. So I support them with all of that. Me and my husband, we started playing pickleball not too long ago, and that has completely taken over our life. It's very addicting. I love to coach people. And so I decided to become an instructor. And so now I'm coaching kids and I'm coaching women, and I'm putting together different clinics and camps to just support the community. And really, what I love about pickleball is that it's inclusive. And so I'm just always looking to include people and help people and make people feel loved and supported. And that's really why I have been with doTERRA for so long too, is because it's a wellness company and it's about just empowering. Usually I'm working with a lot of moms, but just helping them be able to take care of their families naturally and make it easier and safer and more affordable. So I'm always just looking for ways to help people. I love spending time with people. I love talking to people. I'm very extroverted, so I'm always out and about, and just looking for ways to, again, just to be in the community and support people.
So good. I love that you do that. And I know health and wellness has always really been important to you since I've known you and probably before. Was there an event that made this happen or just how you were always wired?
Definitely not how I was always wired. So when I was first married and had little kids, I really didn't know much. I was just kind of I just definitely one of those like moms that just really was naive and didn't know what I was giving my kids or doing with my kids, but someone told me to do it, so I should do it. But it wasn't until my I had my third child, and she was sick all the time, and she always had like respiratory issues and just would always wake up gasping for breath. And she was so small. She was only a year and a half, and we were, at that point we had gone to the doctor multiple times and she was on breathing treatments and steroids. And I remember there was this pivotal moment for me when we had to give her some medication. And if kids don't want to take a medicine, like, I mean, I don't even want to take medicine. But my husband was holding her down, because she was screaming and flailing her arms, and he was holding her down. And then I was trying to shove this medicine down her throat, and she's just screaming and crying, and I'm crying, and I'm just like, what are we what are we doing? Like, there has to be a better way. Like, is this really all there is out there? And at the same time, my mom, she was a nurse at the hospital, and she was introduced to essential oils with Doterra, and she knew the issues that I was having with my kids. And she's like, you know what? She's like, I've done a little bit of research. Why don't you look into this and see if there's something that can help you and your kids? And so I was open at that point to, I mean, I probably would have thought she was crazy like earlier, but I was just at my wit's end. So I was open to hearing and open to trying. And we use a blend called Breathe, and it's a respiratory blend. And we just applied it to my daughter's chest. We put it in a diffuser that diffuses into the air by her crib. And I remember that next morning, it was the first morning she woke up that she wasn't gasping for air, that her lungs were clear. And it just, a light bulb turned on, and I knew that there was something here. And so then I started researching, and I started educating myself on what other options are out there that are natural. And I was able to find something for everything that we were dealing with. My kids were sick all the time previously. And then now all of a sudden I had these like tools in my toolbox that I could go to, and it was just a game changer for me. I felt so awesome. I felt like I felt so empowered as a mom that I could take care of my kids and I could help them and make them happy without having to torture them like I did previously, or having to have them cry all night because they're in pain. Like, I had something. And that's really what, took me into the world of sharing with other moms, because they were in the same situation that I was, and I wanted to help them.
Yeah. I didn't know that that's how you got started. And I love that story about just there are some natural things that can be such great tools, but a lot of times, we just don't know what we don't know, and
Mhm.
finding that out.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I know you and your family, you recently moved to Arizona to help your mom. Can you share just a little bit about that and what happened and why you decided to make that move?
Yeah. So, um, a little over a year ago, we had purchased land in Idaho. It was like our dream. So we had purchased 8 acres, and we were going to build this dream farm. I mean, I had like my vision board with like fluffy cows and like this big garden and horses. And so we purchased the property, and we moved to Idaho and rented a home so we could start building on that property. And it's like nothing, like everything that you could imagine not working out happened. Like, it just so many different things. Like, we had issues with our first builder quit. We had issues with supplies, and then our the price doubled, and we just had all these different setbacks, and we never even got started on the property. And then we were also having issues with finding a home to rent while we were trying to build this home that was not going anywhere. And it was really frustrating. And we had some other things that were happening with at home too, that were concerning to me and my husband, with our kids and just different things. I and then this event happened with my mom, and my mom had a massive stroke. And so I flew down to Arizona to be with her and to be with my family. And we're sitting in the hospital. She's in a coma, and I get a call. I'm sitting by my mom, but not knowing if she's going to live or not. And I get a call from the home we're renting, and it was the landlord saying they had put the home for sale and they sold it, and me and my family needed to be out in a month. And my kids were in school, like we were, doing all these things. And I hung up that phone, and I just decided right then, I'm like, I don't think we're supposed to stay in Idaho. I think we're supposed to come here. And it was just, even my husband felt the same way. And so when I got home, we talked to my kids and we just said, we really feel like even though this was what we thought we were going to do and we were so excited, like we really think that God has a different plan for us and that we need to go be in Arizona and we need to be there to help grandma and grandpa. And it was hard and it's still hard for some of my kids. They miss their friends and they miss the small community there. But at the same time, when we made that decision, so many things, so many good things happened. Like everything fell into place. Whereas before, when we're trying to build in Idaho, like nothing was working out. And so, yeah, like I just feel like God had a plan for us. He knew what we needed to do, even though we didn't know.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, you know, God is the author of our story. We might think we have this like whole like perfect plan and this whole dream and vision of what we want our life to look at, but it might be a completely different one and a different path that you don't know, but it's the one that you're supposed to be on. And so that's what led us to kind of pack up and move. I mean, we kind of had to. So as soon as the school year, luckily the people didn't have to move in until the school year, but the day school got out, we basically had to be out of that rental house. And then we moved here. And so yeah, it was a crazy time, but it's been, like I said, it's been a blessing at the same time too.
Wow. I couldn't agree with you more that sometimes God shuts doors, but then he opens ones that we had no idea. Like our dream is totally something else, but yet he leads us down a different path.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. How is your mom doing today?
So my mom she's doing okay. So she had a massive stroke that took the entire right side of her brain. So she was without oxygen. So basically your brain dies in that area that it's without oxygen. And then the parts of your brain that the cell that are alive, you kind of rewire and you're able to use different parts. Um, and honestly, they didn't think that she would survive. She was in a coma and non-responsive, and she was on a ventilator. And they basically came in and told us like to be prepared. Like she probably, if she does make it, she's going to be a vegetable. And so we were just trying to, that's hard to process because even though she hadn't passed away, like the mom that we knew was was gone, right? Like she did, like we had miracles happen in the hospital. And again, like the power of essential oils. And I think it's so crazy that she was the one that introduced essential oils to me. And then that's when I fell in love with them. And then I was able to use those to help her at a time that she needed it. And so what we would do is we would go into, she was in the ICU. And so we couldn't do a lot, but we could put like the smell under her nose so that she could smell it because my mom loves essential oils and she knows her smells. And so, and my mom's name's Rosie. And so I know that she loves rose essential oil. And so I would put rose under her nose. And when we would do that, we would get like a little bit of response from her. Like she might squeeze our hand or different things. And we put frankincense, which is another really powerful essential oil that it actually passes the blood brain barrier. So I knew I wanted to use that oil because that's such a good one. So we would put these oils under her nose at different times so she could smell the difference, right? Just to stimulate her brain, those senses. And then we would do like a massage technique on her hands, and we would do it on her feet, and then we would do it on like the back of her neck. And so we would do this like every hour. Me and my sister. My sister also fell in love with essential oils. And so it was really helpful because her and I, knew what we were doing. And so we had like all of our diffuser and our oils, and even all the nurses and the doctors, they loved going into my mom's room because they're like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, it smells so good in here. And it was uplifting, it was positive. Another thing that we did, because I was thinking like to use like your senses, right? Sound, smell, touch, like all of those things to stimulate. And so one of the first things I did when I went into her room too was I had that impression to sing song, like to just sing. And I would sing like just little church hymns that I knew that she knew. And I'm sure people that heard me were like, "What is she doing?" But and my sister would help too. And sometimes we do duets and we would sing to her. Um, but I am not joking. The miracles that we saw happen were unbelievable. She started to move her hands. Each day it got better to where she opened her eyes. She started to communicate or move, like squeeze her hands if we would communicate with her. They were able to take her off of the ventilator. And within 5 days, my mom went from they're like, well, she's probably not gonna make it. She's gonna be a vegetable to moving, sitting up, being able to communicate with us. And it was just unbelievable. So she again, she is a walking miracle. She can walk. So she can walk, she can talk, she has a great memory. But cognitively, she's about the level of a 5-year-old. So it's like she's back to being a little girl again. And it's so sweet because she's the sweetest. Like she could not hurt a fly, she's so kind and sweet and loving. Um, but it is hard again because like I said, the mom that I used to know is not here anymore. And so it's learning to love my new mom. Even though it's still her, it's cognitively it's different, and it's hard to explain that to people unless you've had a loved one that's had a stroke. It's really hard to explain that because you're so grateful that they're here. You're just so grateful. You're like it's such a blessing, but you're still mourn who they were, right? I'm like, I talk to my mom every day on the phone, and we'd have great conversations, and she was always there for me. And now our conversations are very limited, but she's here. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
it's hard. You know,
it
sometimes it's
really
hard.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
just because you're so happy. I understand that she's there, but that relationship has changed and she's changed.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she started to slow down. So when she first went to like physical therapy and stuff, she's doing great. Like she was moving around really well. She had a lot of energy. Now over the past year, it's started to decline. And so now she gets tired faster. And she can't do a lot of physical activity. So she's more sedentary. But again, she's wonderful. I was just with her today. And it's just I just am so grateful for every moment that we get to spend with her. And I just think of it as a gift. Like every moment, every chance we get to spend is a gift. And we're just so grateful for it.
I don't know your mom, but I'm like, I can just feel like I'm glad that you're there with her. I think that's where, you're supposed to be. And I do think it was very brave and courageous to move your family across the country to do that. I know like even though it's God's plan, it's not easy. So I think just it speaks volumes to you and who you are as a person and who your family is.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it has been really hard. And there are just times when I just cry and cry because even though it might be good for one person, you might have another person in your family that struggles maybe with finding friends or different things. And so if you see someone hurting, I just automatically just feel so bad because I feel like it's my fault. And so that's been hard. But at the same time, I have to look at okay, how can we grow from this? What's the lesson in this? Like, how can we learn from it and just take it, but be there for each other through like the hard and just know that like, yeah, it isn't always sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. Like been some really hard times this past year. And but I'm so proud of my kids and my husband and just the character that they have to be, you know, to be willing to sacrifice so much. And that has been really humbling for me as their mom. And just so I'm just feel so grateful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that when we were talking, you mentioned that your mom was really the one that took care of everyone else. that she didn't have a lot of time to do self-care because she was so busy in making sure everybody else's needs were met. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, I just remember, I mean, my mom she worked a lot to try to help. We had 5 kids and we didn't have a lot of a lot of money. And so my mom was always doing part-time jobs and working. And I can relate to like just that feeling of like, stressed out because you're trying to do so many things and then you don't have time to take care of yourself. And I saw that with my mom. I don't remember her doing a lot for her. She was just always giving and helping all of us. And then as we got older, she went back to school. We actually went to college together. We had a guitar class together, but she went back to school and got her nursing degree, and she became a nurse. And I was so proud of her for doing that because that's really hard to do after a certain age. You're just like, oh, I have to go back to school. And she worked in the postpartum department, so she helped all the mothers and babies in the hospital, and she was so good at her job. And but yeah, she just was always helping others. She did do lots of like service things. My mom and dad did a service mission a few years back. And yeah, my mom was just always looking for ways to help others and serve others. And she was a great example, but like at the same time I can see that where I'm like, I don't know, she did a lot of stuff for her. And so yeah, I think that it's been a good lesson. Like we need to take time for ourselves too, so that we we're able to help more people, right? I mean, we can only do so much if our cups are full and we're depleted. And also our health, I think, suffers as well.
Yeah, for sure. And were there habits maybe that you saw your mom make? And I know working hard was one that she had to do and didn't have a lot of time, but where you're in kind of a unique spot where, I make a choice today on my health, and I probably don't see the really long-term effects for many years. As
Mhm.
where you are with your mom, growing up and all those years, seeing all the habits and different things that she would do. And then now you see the outcome, and not that they're always directly correlated, but they can be. Is there
Mhm.
anything you've noticed that you would say, yeah, if I could go back and, maybe do this different for myself, or I wish my mom would do this different? And not to any way, like, put down your mom. I know that we all do the best that we can with where we're at, and sometimes that's just, like, survival mode. But just, like, 2020, like, hindsight is always 2020 in looking back, and maybe just a viewpoint of that.
Yeah. Well, I remember, so to answer your question, like I remember when my mom was in really good health, and it was when she was doing Zumba. I don't know if you've ever done Zumba. Not like my thing, but she loved it. And it was just like so fun for her. And she even had like the little skirt that like had the little like noise things on it, because they would like shake and dance, and it was really good cardio. Like it was awesome. But she would do that every day. And she was in such great health. I remember she was eating healthy, and she was just, really focused on health and wellness and being active. And I think it's also she found something she was passionate about. And so, but I don't remember that lasting very long, right? It was just like a season, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, of her life that she really got involved in that. And so I think really what helps all of us with s- having these healthy habits and is finding something we love and we enjoy, something that we're passionate about, something we look forward to, something that creates like that we are involved in some sort of community. I've learned a lot. I've done a lot of sports. So I played college volleyball. So I've played a lot of volleyball, but I've always been active. I've always been, involved in some sort of sport. And now it's of course tons of pickleball. But I've noticed that not only are and I love Orange Theory. I've worked out at Orange Theory, and this is the same kind of thing too. But community is so important for something that you're passionate about, because you're a part of something. Like, people care that you're there, and like, you have friendships through it. And it is, I mean, they have so many statistics out there of being involved in something where you can have friends and a community and support. You will be able to live so much longer. I forgot, like, into your, I mean, the years that you can live. But so yeah, so I think if my mom could have stuck with that, I think that that would have helped her so much. I think she's got busy when she started, with her nursing, and her hours were crazy, and she was working like 14-hour shifts. And so when she wasn't working, she was more tired, and she was helping us or doing something different. So yeah, I think sticking with something, being passionate about something, and being able to be active, um is key, because when you're active, like, I feel like you make better choices with your food too. Like, just
Yes.
like, you don't feel like eating a lot of junk, because you're taking the time to be active. So I feel like eating better comes along with it. So yeah, so I think that would be one of the biggest habits that I've noticed. And that I Oh my gosh, Annie, I play with, like, people that are, like, 80 years old, and they're so good, and I'm like, "I wanna be you when I'm 80, out here on the pickleball court, just crushing it." And, like, we can still do that. We can be active and have fun, doing that, even as we age and we're into our 80s and 90s. I hope to be playing and being active when I'm 100 too.
So good. I think that's such a great answer because, when people always ask, like, what exercise should I do? And I own Orange Theory and I love it. And that's what I love to do. But I always tell people, whatever you're going to be consistent at, do that. Like,
Yeah.
I hope they join our community. I want them to be a part of that. But if that's not their thing, like, do what you love because then you're actually going to do it. And when you find people to do it with, that's even better, that community piece, because that makes it really fun.
Oh, totally, 100%.
Yeah. So just that movement, I think, is key. And if we look at it, you're right, all the statistics are there, that it does help us age better. So I know that for your mom, it was just probably that busyness that we all battle and that survival. And with 5 kids, I can imagine that that was really difficult.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. It was. It definitely was.
I know I've known you for a few years and I know you're super healthy. I know you've talked a little bit about habits that you do, but can you tell us more about things that are a priority for you, like healthy habits from Stephanie, maybe?
Well, yeah, I would love to. And I go through seasons too. Like, sometimes I'm like, it's summer, we just went camping. I'm like, I think I ate an entire thing of cookies and like potato chips. So I'm not like going to tell you right now, I am not this like perfect like person at all when it comes to health. But I always say, like, 80-20 rule, like, we're always trying to do better, and we go through seasons, and it's okay to have treats and whatever. But yeah, I just feel like, for me, just that shift again to natural things, like, if I can use something that's natural, like, I will use that. Like, there's so many toxins in our products, and in our foods. Like, it's kind of scary if we knew
Mm.
all of the things. And so I think we just have to just really educate ourselves and try to just do a little bit better, at eating organic foods, using things that again are non-toxic. But I also, like, something that I've dove into recently is more of like the gut, and like a healthy microbiome, and what that means, and what that looks like, and how to create that. And but I've looked into, there's a lot of mental health issues out there right now. And there's a lot of diabetes, there's a lot of people that have strokes, heart disease, like, so many of these illnesses that are plaguing our society. And when they look into them, a lot of it is like how healthy their gut is. And because our gut is like our second brain, and it dictates a lot of things in our body. And so a way that we can have a healthy gut is just by eating, like I always just tell people, I'm like, just eat like at least 5 to 8 different kinds of fruits and vegetables a day. It doesn't have to be like a serving, just has to be like a different variety. So, because then you're getting different bacteria from different types of plants. And it just creates a more diverse community in your gut. Because if you think about, our guts are kind of like a garden, like we want a lot of variety. We don't just like want corn. So if we can get the variety and try to eliminate as many processed foods, then we are going to see a huge change in our moods, in our sleep habits, in just our cognitive, like our ability to focus, our memories, and then of course like your cardiovascular health, and just being able to um have a higher metabolism too. It helps with that as well. So that's like a simple like thing. I mean, if you think you have a salad, like that's a good variety, right? You have a lot of different things. So salads are good. But yeah, just trying to do that and avoiding processed foods. Everything. I mean, we kind of talked about it, how, we're all busy. We're all doing a lot of things. And so we're stressed out, and we're just trying to, like, I feel like I'm always in a hurry. And so if with our food, it's hard because we just want things that are convenient, but the convenient food isn't the healthiest food. And so if we can do things like meal prepping, I'm actually doing that with my kids because I realized this summer, like I mentioned, we were eating a lot of cookies and, just the garbage. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to meal plan. We're going to do some meal planning. We're going to plan out, our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, we're going to make some good, healthy snacks. I like to make protein balls, like just things that are easy, that are healthy, and then have lots of different fruits and vegetables. Getting rid of the sodas, like soda, energy drinks. Those things are plaguing our society, and they're
Yeah.
everywhere. And I have teenagers. I'm like, stop, but it's so there's a lot. And so yeah, we just have to really make a plan, because if you don't have a plan at the last minute, you'll just get the junk, right? You'll get
That's so true.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just being intentional because I'm never gonna choose, like, probably to chop up a vegetable if it's not there and ready for me, but if it's already done and in a container, like, I'm a big Sunday prepper of just get it all done and make a plan because I'm with you, like, I love cookies and I love chocolate. I'm gonna pick that over the vegetable unless I have a plan for it.
Totally. And think about kids, like teenagers, like, oh my goodness. Like if we were to make like a diary of the diary of a teenage, a food diary of what they eat, it would scare us. We'd be like, "Ah."
Definitely. It makes me cringe sometimes of all the things that I know. And, I'm probably like you of trying to buy healthy things, but a few other things sneak in and you're like, okay, in moderation, but we're trying, yeah, like you to make that plan and eat the rainbow of, I agree, lots of different things, especially for kids and teenagers that can be a little moody anyway. That's where your serotonin is made, is in your gut. So to give, like, the biggest chance for more of it, I think is always better.
Yeah. Yep. I notice a huge difference when in just everyone's attitudes, you know, um, and I do like we use a really good probiotic too, that I'm like, everyone needs to take this because it makes a difference in so many areas. So yeah, I'm a big fan of supplementation because I know we don't get enough of it. So if I can slip everyone a whole food vitamin and a probiotic and all the things, like then I know at least they're getting that too. But yeah, the struggle's real. I think everyone feels that. And I think too, like we all went through it. I remember like my treat, I'd put like Kool-Aid in a plastic baggie with sugar and like cut a hole. This is me and Anne, Anne. Uh
Yeah.
Rodman, she's my best friend. And we just like cut a hole and we like suck on this like Kool-Aid sugar packet forever, And and we survived. Then
Yeah.
we got a little bit smarter and our brains developed, and then we were like, that might not be good. So Yeah. So hope they'll all turn out, hopefully, right?
Absolutely. They will. And it's just a little better each day and making those choices.
Yes. Yep.
As we wrap up, I always love to ask people their favorite one or two books as we go forward. Anything that comes to mind for you?
So one of my all-time favorite books, that I feel like sums up like all the personal development books, would be Jack Canfield's Success Principles. I don't know if you've read that one, but I love it because it really has like pieces of like everything in it. And one of my favorite, the first chapter is I love it, and I've used this a lot. Um, as a mom, I've used it with coaching. I've used in the situation with my mom. But it's there he talks about a formula and he says E plus R or equals O. So E is events. So the things that happen, right? Events plus your response, the way you respond equals your outcome. And the one thing that we have control in that is our response. So we can't control events. Like I couldn't control that my mom had a stroke. I couldn't control, there's things that we can't control, but we can control the way we respond to it. And the way we respond to it changes the outcome, right? And so anytime we're in a situation that might be hard or uncomfortable or whatever it is, just remember that and remember that you have a choice. Like you always have a choice. And to make it a good one, like really be able to control that outcome. And but yeah, that's really helped me through some of the hard things that we've gone through. And but anyway, the rest of the book is beautiful. It's a good one too, that like all ages, like it would be a good one for teenagers, it would be obviously a good one for adults, but it just goes over different principles just like that one that can help us in our lives, just find success. And so I love that one. So that is number one, like my favorite personal development book. Another one that I like is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And that one was pretty eye-opening to me, about just like overcoming like limiting beliefs. I actually need to read this one again because sometimes you feel stuck in different situations in your life. And so this is a good one to help you get unstuck from that, because usually we're the ones stopping us from accomplishing different goals that we have. And so this is a really good one to just help you to just like break through those barriers. And so yeah, I love that one as well. And it's a picture of it's like a fish jumping out of a fishbowl. But yeah, those are my two favorite personal development books. And then I'm always in for like a good romance summer. If you have any suggestions, I've been looking. I'm like, I need a good like summer romance just to like forget about things and just escape.
Yeah. My guilty confession for romance is I've read almost everything Danielle Steele writes. Like
Oh,
she's
nice.
my go-to author and she's always coming out with new books.
She
I don't
is.
know. She's my go-to.
Oh, that's awesome. I know there's a lot of fun like summer ones that, like with summer in the title. So I'm like, oh, okay, I should just get one of those.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
We
awesome.
need that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
good. Well, I know that you are a knowledge of so many things, pickleball, essential oils, and people are probably hearing and just seeing what a fun personality you have, and they'll want to connect with you. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah. And I would love to connect with everyone too. I just, like I said, I enjoy people. So, I have an Instagram. It's braided hippie, and so that's where I do a lot of fun things with all the things I love. So there's a lot of pickleball and essential oils, and I'm also doing this like fun 40 days of giveaways, and so we're on like day 20. But we're giving away like thousands of dollars of prizes. And so that's been fun because I've been able to partner with small businesses to offer like really fun prizes. And so yeah, so you can jump on there and you can message me. I'm about to go on tour with Rally Club, they're a pickleball company. and be able to do clinics. So I'm traveling to California. So I'll be in Marin County and Malibu and Newport Beach this summer. So if you live in California, you can come hang out with me. And then I live here in Mesa, Arizona, and so I do a lot of things here. I do a lot of events, again, like specifically to build community and just to support women and to help kids. And so I would love to connect with you in person too. So, but yeah, that's probably the fastest and easiest way is to connect with me on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, I will definitely link to you and all those things. So thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing about your mom and all the things you're doing now. I think it's really, really helpful to see the journey and what you've been through and what you continue to do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Be the Person podcast. If this resonates with you and you know somebody that would benefit from it, please share it with them. And then it would help our podcast grow. And it would mean the world to me if you would give a 5-star review. Thanks for joining today.